Welcome to this class on understanding topographical maps and the components of topographical maps. So first of all, let's talk about what is topographical map. So we know Earth is a huge place to understand. Now if I am living in a city and a specific region, I would like to know the details of that region. So to facilitate that, what is done by local organizations or the organizations of various countries is to survey and map the specific regions of that area, and that helps to understand that region in more detail. So what is basically topographical map and who prepares topographical map? So let's start with understanding this. So this is a brief picture of topographical map. In this, as you can see, the green area shows the agricultural area. Then you have the blue line here, which shows the river. Then a small blue lakes, which shows the water bodies. Then you have the black dots that show the settlement. The brown curved lines, which shows the contours. You have the red lines here, which shows the transport network. So this is basically a detailed analysis of a smaller and a very small region. So what basically happens when we try to understand topographical maps is, in topographical maps, what you try to do is you try to give a large scale map of the region. You try to do more details in that region. Then you try to show out or point out the intricacies of that region. In this, we would be taking a specific example from India. So here is on the right you can see a topo sheet of India. So this topo sheet is prepared by Survey of India, which is an organization in India which does the surveying and mapping for the country. Now there are various such organizations. This organization was established in 1767. So this organization is for India, and then there are numerous such organizations for other countries which do the respective surveys. Now let's understand here. So as you can see, whole of this Indian subcontinent is divided into various sheets. Now we'll be talking about, for example, sheet number 53. So here is the sheet 53 that we would be talking about. And now what happens here is, this is what is known as the million sheet. This sheet would be known as the million sheet. Now what is million sheet? Million sheet is a sheet which has, like, I can say there are total 136 such sheets which cover the entire Indian subcontinent. Each sheet, I can say, if I calculate it on paper, 1 inch would be equal to 16 miles, or I can say 1 centimeter would be equal to 10 kilometers on Earth. Here, when we try to understand the contours of this million sheet, it would be in terms of either 500 feet or 200 meters of contour here. So this is the first concept of million sheet. Before that, we must know that each million sheet is 4 degrees latitude by 4 degrees longitude. Now let's see. So this is the complete sheet number 53. Now we'll try to understand the further subparts of the sheet. So let's move on to the next component here. The next component here would be the degree sheet. Now what is degree sheet? Degree sheet is also known as quarter sheet. What I can do is, I can divide this into 16 parts. This 4 by 4 sheet into 16 parts. So what happened here would be, each grid here would be 1 degrees by 1 degrees. So degree sheet technically has 1 degree by 1 degree. The size of degree sheet is 1 degree by 1 degree. Then, as you can understand here, what happens is, in degree sheet, I can classify it. You can see it here. It's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, and P. So what I'm doing is, I am naming it from A to P. Okay. So if I say 53C, for example, if I talk about 53C, that means I am talking about this sheet or this section of the region. So let me mark it here. So it would be this section of the region I am talking about. That is 53C. Okay, so it would be 1 degrees latitude by 1 degrees longitude that we would be covering in the sheet. The sheet is marked from A to P, so we can choose one of it. So again, as we said there, 1 inch was 16 miles. So here 1 inch becomes 4 miles. And similarly, what happens is 1 centimeter becomes 2.5 kilometers. In terms of contour intervals, it would be 250 feet or 100 meters. So this is the characteristics of the degree sheet or the quarter sheet. Now we would move to the further classification here, which is known as the half-inch sheet. Now let's understand the half-inch sheet. So I would be just removing this to facilitate your understanding. Now what is half-inch sheet? Half-inch sheet, as we can see here, this, and this would form the half-inch sheet. So what would happen here is, if I further divide, let's take the example for C only. If I further divide it into 4 parts, it would become the half-inch sheet, and it would have, I can say, 53C northeast. If I want to explain it that way, that would be the half-inch sheet. So this half-inch sheet would be 30 minutes latitude by 30 minutes longitude. Okay. Here you have 4 sections, as I already explained: northeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest. Then you have 1 inch is to 2 miles here, or I can say 1 centimeter is equal to 1 kilometer, sorry, 1.25 kilometers. Then here the contour interval in this case would be 100 feet, or I can say 50 meters. So this is what is the half-inch sheet. Now I would be moving further on to the next step, which is a different classification of the same thing, but it would be known as inch sheet. So what I am doing is, here I am not breaking it into just 4 parts, but I am again breaking it into 16 parts. So what is happening here is, for example, this section, I am again dividing it into 16 parts. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on till 16. So if I am dividing a degree sheet into 16 parts, it is known as inch sheet. Inch sheet would be from 1 to 16, as was half-inch sheet from northeast, northwest, southwest, and southeast. Then in inch sheet, what happens is, you have the size of 15 minutes by 15 minutes latitude by 15 minutes longitude. You have 1 inch is equal to 1 mile here. Then I can say, similarly, 1 centimeter would become 0.5 kilometers here. And the measurement here would be 50 feet or 20 meters. Okay, so this is a further sub-classification. So for example, in this, if I again divide it into 16 parts, here would be the section I would be talking about. So I can say it is, for example, 53D. And then I can mention the sheet number. So it's, for example, I'm talking about this section 4. So it's 53D4. So this is how you classify the topographical maps, and based on that you can say, okay, I want to understand now. For example, if I want to say I want to understand the region of the desert region of India, so I can say this is the 40 number topo sheet which covers the desert region of India. In this 40 number topo sheet, if I say I exactly want to study this specific region, okay, so what would happen here is, it would be sheet number I. Okay, in that specific region, if I want to say I want to study the topmost left hand corner of it, so it would be I, and then if I want to break it into an inch sheet, it would be I1. So it would be 40 I1. So in that case, I can understand that, okay, this topo sheet would give me the details of the region where there is an India-Pakistan border and which is a desert region. So this is how you can facilitate the understanding of the concept of what we call as the topo sheets. So here is, I can give you a summary. We have the million sheet, we have the quarter sheet, Let me put it here. So here is the summary. Okay. So in this summary, you can understand how there are various sheet numbers given here, and the corresponding sheet numbers lead to the various details that we have understood in the class. Hope you would have found this session useful. Stay tuned with us for the further updates on the various sessions. Have a good day ahead.